So, the other super cool thing that's happening tonight, did I miss anything?
That was everything.
The other super cool thing that we've never done in the history before of RIZN, at least as long as I've been a part, which is a couple of years or more, is we have 5 students speaking tonight.
That's 3 plus another 2.
So 5, sorry, 3 is like apparently, I wish it was 3, just so, well, no, I don't wish it was 3. I just 3 was my favorite number tonight.
3 was the number tonight.
There's 3 men who are speaking and 2 ladies who are speaking tonight. So we've never had students before be the people to speak the message tonight, but so we said, why not have 5 of them speak the message tonight?
Yeah.
So please hold your applause to the end. I'm going to say their names, but first, we chose these 5 because they have been, all of you guys are incredible. Every single one of you is special. You is smart. You is kind. You is important. And so are these 5. And they have been serving in RIZN. They have been just people who are just such good examples of young people who are courageously following God and not concerned about fitting in with their peers or what other people might think of them. They've just decided, hey, I'm going to step out in faith. I'm going to follow God. And each of them have been preparing just something that they felt like was on their heart to talk to you guys about. I got to hear them a little bit last night, and I can just say, I was writing notes on the things that they were talking about. It was so awesome, each one of them. So there's 5 messages. Each are 5 minutes. They're just going to come up one after another. But each of them are so special and so unique. So if I could just say to you guys tonight, don't be on Snapchat tonight. Instead, why not pull out your notes app and write a few things from each person, because they are so, they're so special. And for once, you don't have to hear from a boomer like me. You get to hear, or a boomer like Aaron, or a boomer like Ben, even though he's like 19. He's like more of a dad than most people will ever be, even with children. Anyways, so we have Maddie Bender speaking tonight. We have Canyon Sabo. We have Daniel. We have Caitlin. And we have Stefan. So can we all just stand to our feet right now and give the biggest welcome to Maddie, who's kicking us off.
Hi guys. Oh, is this on? So as Sophie said, my name is Maddie, and I've been coming to RIZN since fall of 2018, which seems like a long time, but also like super short. But RIZN has definitely changed my life so much, and I know that it can change yours just as it has changed mine if you just lean in and are really intentional about it. But before I get started, I just wanted to share something super cool that I literally found out like 20 minutes ago. I was reading through my prayer journal because I write down my prayers so I can look back on them, and I was looking back at literally a year ago, December 13th. I was writing to God about how I was feeling, and I was going through a rough patch last year. Like, I was really struggling with depression and a lot of anxiety, and I was questioning my life a lot and just like not wanting to be on this earth. And I just want to think, how cool is it that a year later I'm on this stage talking to you guys? I don't know. I just think that's really cool. But anyway, since I have limited time, I'm titling this message, Stay Sendy. So last April, like many of you have or will do, I was deciding on what high school to go to. And it was one of those decisions that was like, there was an obvious answer, but the obvious answer didn't feel right, if that makes sense. Like, everybody was assuming I would be going to McNally High School because I had a lot of friends there. My sister had gone there. It was really close to my house. I could walk there easily. But the more I prayed about it, the more I was just like, I'm not feeling it. I don't think I should be there. And the more I prayed, I was just like, I really had ABJ on my mind. And if you don't know, ABJ is a school in Sherwood Park that is far away from my house. And I don't know very many people there, so it just seemed like the weirdest answer ever. But something in my heart just felt like I should be there. And I don't know, some people might call it the Holy Spirit or something. But in the middle of this decision making, I attended a connect group called Worship YCG, and it was super impactful this specific night because we played a song called Send Me, and it was different than other weeks because usually we just practice a song and then go on stage and like worship to it, but this time we played a song and individually spread out and just listened to the lyrics very attentively. And I had never heard this song before, so I was like, oh, I gotta listen to see what this music has for me, you know? And I'm not gonna sing it for you, obviously, but I do wanna share some of the lyrics because it really changed my perspective and it for sure changed my prayer. The second verse says, if the truth cuts like an arrow, I will say it anyways, because here I am, Lord, send me. And if it means that they'll reject me, Lord, I will still obey, because here I am, Lord, send me. Obviously, this doesn't mean you go doing and saying whatever you want, but it really means that no matter what other people are going to say to you, you're going to obey God and you're going to do what he says. This really got me thinking because I bet a lot of you come to RIZN and you're like hearing these messages and hearing the worship songs that we're singing, and you might just be like, why would I even worship God? Or how can I worship him? Or how do I even hear from him? And I think it's as simple as this. Here I am, Lord, send me. Isaiah 6:8 says, then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send and who will go for us? And I said, here I am, Lord, send me. By giving yourself to him, you are opening the door for him to work through you, even if it's hard. And spoiler alert, it probably will be hard. I'm already halfway through my first year at ABJ, and I can tell you that it is rough. Like, I still dread going to school sometimes. I still wish I went to a different school and think about how it could be different. But I know I'm supposed to be there. I know that God has called me there, and that's what fuels me. It's like when you have a special encounter with somebody, but you don't know it's special yet. Like maybe you just picked up some papers for somebody, or you shot somebody a smile as they walked past you, and you don't think that much of it, but you find out later that it meant the world to them. Now, the question is, how do you know God is sending you somewhere? Or how do you know what you're feeling is the Holy Spirit prompting you? This is a hard question to answer because, honestly, it just comes with practice and a strong relationship with God. God speaks in a still small whisper, which I'm sure you've heard, and it kind of sounds confusing because you're like, well, what does that even mean? It basically just means that God's not going to speak to you like the person sitting beside you might. He's not going to speak to you in this stereotypical booming voice. And for me, like how I usually think of it is God will speak to you through the Holy Spirit, and that could be like a strong gut feeling that you can't shake the thought of. Or maybe he speaks through other people to you who just bring ideas into your life, and then you just can't shake the thought of it. For me personally, like I said before, I have a journal that I write in when I'm trying to figure out if it's like God actually speaking to me, and I will just write down what I'm feeling, and then I can look back on it and keep praying it and just see how God has answered it. Or I will also go to other people who I know have a stronger relationship than God than I do, and I'll see what they think. Because God does things in strange and mysterious ways, but it's always beautiful, even if it doesn't make sense to us. And when you do step out in faith, you don't have to be afraid of falling because God will meet you where you're at. At ABJ, it has been hard, I will admit, but every day God meets me where I'm at, and he meets me on the bus ride to school. He meets me in each of my classes, at my locker, and just in all my interactions with people. He sends little joys throughout my day, even if it's just watching the sunrise as I go on the bus to school or having a good laugh with a friend. And to end this off, I will just leave you with this. You can either say, Lord, send me, or do it's easy. And believe me when I say, the first option is always better.
Hey guys, if you don't already know me, my name's Canyon, and I have a question for you guys. Have you guys ever went through a dry season in life, like worse grades than last semester, or just a different friend group than you had previously, that you're kind of missing the old friend group, or life just seems boring right now? Well, I'll be honest, everybody goes through these seasons, and everybody goes through changing seasons, especially the dry ones. And we can always focus on what has happened. Like, I miss those friends that I had that I don't have anymore. I miss those grades that I had that I that I had last semester, or I just missed the opportunities that I was given. Or, the other side of that, you can just be looking forward to the future. Like, okay, life sucks here, but it's gonna be so much better down here, and I'll have way more opportunities than I do now. It doesn't matter that it's bad here, all that matters is it's gonna be good here. Or life will just be so much better when I have my driver's license. But obsessing over the past and the future acts as a barricade when it comes down to how God is gonna move through your life in the now. And he has so much planned for you now, and you don't wanna disregard what his plan is for you. Well, you might be thinking, how can I fix this? My first tip for the future is your worry won't change the future, and focusing on something you can't control won't change the future. But your prayers will, and God can change the future for you. Matthew 6, verse 34 says, "Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough troubles of its own." The reason I like this verse, don't take it the wrong way, because if you take it the wrong way, it can seem kind of harsh, but truthfully, the future is not always going to be easy, but this verse helps when you think, I'm so scared for that test tomorrow, or I'm so excited for tomorrow because today just sucked. Focusing on the future won't help you take the blessings that you already have for granted. Now, on the other side of this, oh my gosh. Okay, I didn't know I had my name there. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, living in the past is going to let you miss out on what happens today. So, what I recommend, what's good to keep in mind is you got to forgive yourself and just know that it's okay for things to change and it's okay to make mistakes. And you just got to trust that God will help you through it, because he will. Isaiah 43:18 says, "Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past." I like this verse because it really says that no matter what has happened, do not dwell on what happened, because God is moving through you today, and focusing on your past mistakes misguides you. And I can say, focusing on the past was a big thing for me, because about a year or two ago, I had this friend group, and I'd see them pretty frequently, and all of a sudden, things just fell apart within a short amount of time. So I spent the next couple months kind of refusing to live now, and I chose to live in the past. I was dwelling on the past. I missed the friends that I had that I don't have anymore, and I just was not appreciative of how God was blessing me in the now then. But after a while, I realized that I honestly can't change the past, and all that I got from focusing on the past was worry. So for the next little while, what I had to focus on was praying about forgiving myself for what happened, and I needed to move myself past the past. So God came through, and he helped me on forgiveness to myself on what did happen. And after moving on from the past, I quickly realized that God had already been blessing me in so many ways and giving me new people and new opportunities that I really needed. And I just didn't realize it because I missed the past. So my tip for enjoying today is just take some time throughout the day to be grateful and notice the small things, the small blessings that God gives you. Like, even if that's a conversation with somebody, or a sound that you like, or no sound. But just be gracious that God has blessed you with that today. Psalms 56 verse 3 says that, "When I'm afraid, I put my trust in you." And the reason I like this verse is it literally says that no matter what happens, I can put my trust in God. Let that be anxiety on the future or embarrassment from the past. You put your trust in God, and he will help you. God will help you take your focus off the present or past, off the future or past, and he'll help you focus on today. It's difficult to enjoy today when you're just living in the, It's difficult to enjoy today when you're not living in the present. And I will be truthful, dry seasons are not the most fun experience, but God did not create these dry seasons for you guys. but I'll tell you that if you ask, God will help you guide you through these seasons. And I think if you look, that God has already been blessing you through this season. And now, give it up for Daniel.
Are you guys still awake? Mika, are you awake? I'm expecting you to listen, all right? What? I have a clear view on you. You better be listening. If you guys don't know me, my name is Daniel. I've been attending RIZN for 2 years now, pretty long now. I just want to thank RIZN for giving me the opportunity to be able to talk about God and a bit of myself. So let's just jump into it since I only have 5 minutes. Hopefully I don't voice crack, but. Let's all be honest here. Has anyone ever felt like left out in things? Yeah. For example, your friends decided to hang out without letting you know. Yeah. I know. All right, let's calm down, guys. That can be tough. Your friends sending a snap without you, and you're just here at RIZN because your parents forced you to. Or maybe you're here by choice. Good on you guys. Or you just feel like your opinions are completely different than everyone else's. You can be attending celebration for a while now, but you haven't invited your friends because you're scared they wouldn't like it because they have different set of opinions or different faith, or they might not even have a faith at all. I can say I've been there though. I have felt left out a bunch of times. I'll be honest here, the way I handled being left out, my solutions were like not only hurt myself, it also hurt my relationship with God, and it pushed me farther away from Him and locked. I basically just tried to fit in by doing what everyone else was doing. I was basically just pleasing my flesh more than the Spirit. All I did was make a version of myself that pleased others, and it made me not actually feel good myself. I just locked the real me inside of my heart, pushed it away. This is one of the biggest regrets of my life because I didn't even like the way I was acting. I was only acting like this in order to fit in. And I know there's some people in the room that are going through the same thing that I went through. And I just want to let you know it's okay. I've been there. I know how you feel. And there's always a time to change. You don't have to change yourself just to fit in this world. John 5:44 says, "How can you believe when you receive glory from one another and do not seek the glory that comes from the one and only God?" I like this verse because it reminds me that I should only be seeking glory from God, not from other people. God should be the only person you should be pleasing because He is our maker. He made us in our image, and we should not change it to please the flesh and the world. You don't have to change to please others. God made us the way we are, and we should be proud of it. If you are trying to change and be the best version of your true self, here's a few tips that I can tell you. Number one, find a community that loves you for who you are. A perfect example is RIZN, right here, right now. I found a place to belong right here at RIZN, where I found my purpose and where I can thrive and just feel joy. If RIZN is a way you want to find a community, a great thing that worked out for me is joining a YCG. Now, even though the semester started a few months ago, it's never too late to still join one. If you're a guy, then you can join Saturday YCG called Saturday Night. It's for the boys. If you want to join, then go introduce yourself to either like Luke, Caleb, or Aaron. If you guys can like pull up your hands. We'll have a party in Aaron's house. Tip number two, find leaders in your life. You can even find a leader at RIZN right now. That may sound scary just going up to someone you don't know, but these leaders want to get to know you. They want you to be able to talk to them. When I was attending RIZN for a year and a half, I only knew 3 leaders, and I rarely even talked to them. But when they saw me, they went out of their way just to check up on me because these leaders care for us. You might not even have to walk up to a leader. A leader might walk up to you. I met my favorite leader in the washroom, and now he's a great role model for me. Finding a role model is good so you can get guidance and advice to things. A role model who pleases the Spirit can get you farther with your life and faith than people who seek to please their flesh. Proverbs 13:20 affirms this by saying, become wise by walking with the wise, hang out with fools, and watch your life fall to pieces. Now I'm not trying to call your friends fools or, that if you stay with them, you will collapse in life. Just know that there are certain people that are good to be with, where you can show your true self and even open up for advice. And tip number 3, the one that I go by with almost every single day, is just to turn to God. The best change I made was turning to God and talking to Him for guidance and peace. In God's kingdom, we all belong. God is the best advice giver. He listens to you and wants the best for us. My life was a roller coaster of emotions. God has helped me. God has helped my bumpy ride, and He helped me feel better about myself. Now, I'm not saying that as soon as you turn to God, everything will be good. There will still be some tough times ahead, and you just have to know that God is with you. God is with you through those times, and you can turn towards Him during those times. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm telling you this. Well, I know that there are people who are here are going through the tough season. That are going through tough seasons right now. And if your solution is trying to do certain things that make you fit in, but you don't feel good about, just know there is always a community that will accept you for who you are, which is here at RIZN right here. And I just want everyone to know that you don't have to pressure yourself to do things like vaping, swearing, or even being quiet about your own faith to fit in. Matter of fact, actually, be proud about your faith. Be proud that you're a Christian, and be a bright light to shine others for their path. Thank you. Wait, I'm not done. One more thing, if you have tried to fit in and done wrong, just know it's okay. You know that God has forgave you and He has an intended plan for you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Caitlin. Hi. One second. Anyway, so if you don't know me, yes, I'm Caitlin. So I'm here to talk about sin today. And I'm not here to get mad at you, and God's not here to get mad at you. But I'm talking about sin because I feel like it's something basically everybody struggles with. And if you don't know what sin is, it's usually classified as something that you do wrong, like the bad thing that you do. But if you kind of get that gut feeling, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, probably might be sin, or or if you feel like you have to justify it, it's not sin because everybody else is doing it, so no, it could still be sin. But I want to specifically kind of talk about secret sin, because I feel like that one is the worst. Because not only does it have the power of being a sin and something you struggle with in your life, but it also has the power of nobody knowing what it is. It has the power of it being this, thing that eats you up inside. And I have struggled with many secret sins and sins in my life. Yeah, not great. But something that I would do is when there was music that I wasn't supposed to be listening to, maybe it had lots of swears in it, maybe it had sexual content, no matter what, I would always put in headphones, because then nobody knew around me. It was just that I knew, and it was eating me up inside, and I didn't want to be doing it, but I felt like it can become an addiction, you know? Like once you get into the cycle of secret sin, it's so easy to fall back into it. So, or like maybe you guys have done this before. So you're sitting and you're on your phone. I could face this beautiful hallway where my family could see my screen. It's a great option. Or I could face this beautiful wall. Wow. Well, guess which one I chose? And maybe you've chose the wall too. And that's okay because, well, we want to work on working towards that. We want to work on conquering that. But God's not like trying to punish you for doing those sins. He's not trying to like yell at you, and he's not having me up here to tell you how bad you are. He wants you to work through those. And two things that have helped me a lot is, first of all, the community that RIZN and different people have. Because when you surround yourself with people, you kind of become kind of like them. And if you have those people in your life that are like uplifting you and like helping you out, then it's contagious. You know how like they talk about like happiness being contagious, or like when someone yawns and like everybody else yawns. Anyways, but one second, I lost my spot. Found it. Okay, and then the other two things that have really helped me is confession. And I feel like this is something kind of like iffy and like overlooked. Like we kind of try to find ways around it. Like I used to think, oh, like God knows what I'm doing. Yeah, he does. That's great. But if you confess your sins to somebody, it tends to lose a little bit of that secret sin power. Or even if it's not a secret sin, it does lose some of that power, and it gives you somebody to keep you accountable and keep you on track. Another thing is prayer. And I know when I first started like hearing prayer and hearing people talk about prayer, I thought it was like this like thing that super religious people do. And it's like, oh yeah, you pray all the time. Cool, good for you. But prayer has become one of those things in my life that I actually is so freeing and so amazing. Prayer, it's sometimes a little tricky at the beginning. You kind of feel like you're talking to yourself. At least that's how I felt, because I was like, yeah, like God's there, but like I'm kind of talking to myself and he's listening. I don't know if that's probably just me. But when you pray about it, it's almost like giving over, like I talked about giving over a little power, but it's also inviting God to help you with that. And it's asking God for help with that. John 1:9, because it wouldn't be a message without a Bible verse. If we confess our sins, he's faithful, and just to forgive our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. And if for any of you perfectionists out there, I know that like when I was like thinking about maybe dedicating my life or like other like different steps in my faith, I would think that after I sinned, it was kind of like I had to restart. But after you sin, you don't have to restart. There is no like try again necessarily, but you want to ask God to pick you back up and continue on. You don't have to think that once you fell that you can't get back up. Because like I used to think like, oh, like I'd have like a goal or something and I'd fall once and I'd be like, well, that's the end of that. But no, it's not the end of that. God can help you pick you back up. The more I worked to seek out God, the more I worked to talk to God and be close to God, the more it gave me kind of like, I felt like a little bit of power to like conquer today and tomorrow and hopefully not fall into those sins. And you know what? You're probably going to fall sometimes. I still fall sometimes. But remembering that you can always go back to God and you always should go back to God is really, really important. I've had lots of good days and some bad days, but God has been there through all of them. So I want to tell you, RIZN, that you're not alone with your sin. And God doesn't want to punish you for your sin. He wants to work through you and He wants to help you with it.
Hi guys, I'm Stefan Weisabel. If you can't pronounce my last name, you can just call me Stefan Weisabel, a vegetable. That works, good enough. Anyways, I have a question for you guys. Have you ever had a goal and failed? Maybe you like psyched yourself up to go talk to your crush and you chickened out last second? Or maybe you were like motivated to get rid of some bad habits to like build some new ones, and then you just completely fell right back into them and you felt really bad about that. I know that it's really not fun when that happens and you feel really bad about that. But I just want you to know that you're forgiven for that. Jesus forgave you for that when He died on the cross. He forgave you for all your past, your present, and all of your future sins. So no matter what, you can still live a good life. Like, God has forgiven you always, and He always will. And I just wanted to give you guys some strategies that I use in my walk with God that have really helped with this sort of thing. Like, even in just random, like, practical things like studying even, right? So these strategies have really helped me with this. And the first strategy is in the morning to remind yourself of your goals and why you want to follow them. Set some time aside for this. Maybe set a reminder on your phone and just like remind yourself, this is what I want to do today and this is why I'm going to do it. The best way to do this, I find, is through prayer. Pray to God. Just ask Him for help. He will help you throughout the day. Maybe just read a list of goals to yourself throughout the day, for the day, and it'll just really help you with motivation and to make these good decisions throughout the day. And the second strategy is to remind yourself throughout the day constantly of your goals. This really helps the first strategy work even better. These two together are really effective. It'll help you to just continue throughout the day to maintain that motivation. Sometimes like during the day, you get tempted and you don't remember why you wanted to resist that temptation. Maybe like last time you fell into that sin, you're like, oh, next time I'm never doing this. I know I don't want to do this. I know I've definitely done this. And then like next time, you're like, I don't remember why I didn't want to do that. I'll just do it anyways, right? And this, just reminding yourself throughout the day will really help you to remember that I don't want to do that. I know that leads to death and destruction, and that's not where I want to go, and I want to go this way. And the best way to do this, just like the first one, is through prayer. Just ask God for help. He will help you. And as it says in Matthew chapter 7, verse 7, ask and it will be given to you. Knock and it will be opened. And I did that backwards. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be opened to you. And the reason I've been talking about prayer so much is because it's really important. It can really help you in your life. It can help you to just break those bad habits and to really just live a better life and to make so much better decisions that make your life so much better. And if you don't know what prayer is and you don't know how to do it, I encourage you, just try it. God will help you, and there's tons of leaders in this room that can really help you. You can go talk to them after service. I know Braden knows a lot about prayer. He's really helpful with that. He's helped me with a lot in prayer. And then here's the third strategy. This one's definitely my favorite. Instead of focusing on not doing bad things, focus on doing good things. Instead of focusing on not falling back into your bad habits, focus on building good ones. These good habits will replace your bad ones, and they will help you to be stronger and to, when you have so many good habits in your life, you won't have time for these bad habits. When you make so many good decisions, you won't even be tempted as much. You won't even be into these bad decisions. The last strategy, the third strategy, one second. I'm going to give you some good habits for the last one. One of my favorite habits is prayer, obviously, like I've been talking about. That one's really good to have. Reading the Bible is a really good habit. Just, if you want to hear what God says, you don't know how to do it, reading the Bible is the best way. It's literally His word. You can literally read what He wants to say to you. And then the third one is actually listening to worship music. There's actually some really good worship songs that they're actually like really hype. And the last strategy I'll be talking about here is to surround yourself with good people. Proverbs 13:20 says, whoever walks with the wise will become wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm. Hanging out with good people will help you to keep each other accountable and lift each other up. You guys will help keep each other strong and to like help each other to see those good habits and achieve those goals and maintain focus on them and stay away from those bad habits, and they'll help keep you accountable. And I'm just going to quickly summarize everything that I just said in case you weren't listening. Maybe you were texting a girl or something. Or maybe you just forgot everything I said. That works too. So the first tip I said to help you to get out of those bad habits and bad decisions into good ones is to remind yourself of your goals in the morning. And the best way to do that is through prayer. And then the second one is to continue to remind yourself of your goals throughout the day. And this one also, the best way is throughout prayer. And these two work really well hand in hand. The third one is instead of focusing on not doing bad things and on not falling into bad habits, focus on doing good things, making good decisions, and building good habits, and those will replace them. And the fourth and final one is to surround yourself with good people so that you can help each other build up, and you will become more like those other people. You will become better in your life. Thank you, guys.
Give it up. Let's give it up for all of them. That was awesome. Raise your hand if you got something out of that. That was great, hey? Raise your hand if you're a RIZN leader and feel like a proud parent right now. Or sibling. I guess there's a lot of siblings. Hey, well, that was awesome. Thank you, each of you. That was great. I loved how unique each of those messages were, but they kind of had a bit of a story with them. Could you see themes that kind of picked up in between all of them? That was awesome. Maddie started us off with just hearing the voice of God and just following God's voice and doing what God says over just doing what's comfortable, doing our own thing, maybe doing something that is not expected of us. And then Canyon talked so much about forgetting about the past, getting past the past, he said, and not obsessing about the future, but just enjoying today and this moment. And then Daniel had such a good word about not just focusing on fitting in with your friends, but being okay to be a light, to stand out, to being bold about your faith. And then Caitlin had such a good word on sin, stuff that we can struggle with in secret and maybe that we might feel ashamed of, that we don't have to be ashamed of, that we can just bring to God because he wants to work that out with us, that he loves us, he forgives us, and he just wants to do life with us. And then Stefan had such a good thing just about looking towards the future, continuing to follow God, not giving up, even when maybe we've fallen, that we would just remember to pray and remember to bring God to the forefront of our mind. So that was incredible, and I loved that. It was one big, cool message altogether. And I just want to give you guys the opportunity, just like what they spoke about, to follow God, that maybe you've never prayed a prayer before of accepting Jesus into your heart. Maybe maybe you're at a place where you accepted God into your heart a while ago, but you feel like there's some stuff has happened, some life has happened. Maybe you feel like you've fallen a little bit and you need to pray again. Now, can I just say, God has already saved you. You don't need to pray a salvation prayer again, but maybe you just need to pray a prayer of repentance and just say, God, I just need to center myself back on you, just like what Stefan was saying, that you don't focus on the bad stuff to try to get better, but that you would just set your sights on something better ahead of you to continue to follow that. So if I could just ask everyone just to bow your heads, and I just want to give everyone an opportunity that if you want to make a decision to follow God, that you would have that choice. So if you just feel you need to pray, want to accept Jesus into your life as your Lord, as your Savior, would you just raise a hand? Just as a statement of, I'm going to be bold for my faith. I'm not going to be ashamed. Awesome. And if everyone could just repeat this after me. Dear Jesus, I invite you into my life. I ask you to be my Savior, and I ask you to be my Lord. Forgive me of my past sin, and have your way in my life. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Let's give a big round of applause.